LaQuinston, looking at Vanderbilt film, it looks like they run 3- and 4-man fronts. What have you seen from them on film?
I mean, they're pretty good up front. We just got to stay together and just work on hands and feet.
When you have a game like last week where you give up 7 sacks, I mean, is it about getting back to basics, or what do you kind of do to kind of get things corrected moving to the next week?
We focus on getting better. That's all. Focus on getting better each day.
Team is 3-3 right now, Q, and a lot still left to accomplish and get to a bowl game and some winnable games left. What's the vibe been around the team coming off Saturday's loss so far?
Everybody want to get better. Like, we working to get better over here.
Midway through the season, about the halfway point, what have you liked so far that your unit, the offensive line unit, has done, and where do you guys still think you got to grow?
Well, we still growing in responsibility, but we getting better each day. So that's all we working on.
When you say responsibility, what does that entail?
Knowing our assignments, everybody learn how to pass off each man.
What are some of the things that you personally are working on to get better at?
Just getting better at coming off the ball, hitting, snapping, working on the everyday basis.
Does it sometimes feel easy to overlook a team like Vanderbilt that hasn't won an SEC game since 2019, or do you know this is the conference you gotta be locked in for every game?
You gotta be locked in for every game. You gotta speak God.
Who are some of the guys on that offensive line that you have maybe seen make a jump? I know last week wasn't the best week, but the guys that have kind of improved this year, like the guys to your left and right.
Everybody improved on the offensive line. Even me, everybody improved.
What are the things you feel like you've improved the most upon as a group, though, over the course of the season?
Communication. That's what we're doing a lot of that better.
Is that pre-snap or pre-snap communication, or is that in the huddle? What kind of communication?
All pre-snap, huddle communication. Everybody being on one accord.
What are some things now that you can do at this stage of your career that maybe a year or so ago you wouldn't pick up, say when you're reading a defense or you're making a call, or things you feel so much more confident about now?
Understanding where I need to set the protection. That's what I'm getting more focused on.
How do you learn to do that? You played guard most of your career, but how do you learn to kind of read the front and then set protections?
Also, it's just being in the film room, get some help from coaches. Also players too. Got a couple centers in the room that have played before me. I ask them questions, try to get used to it.
When you see a guy like Will Anderson just have an advantage, and obviously he gave Scott some fits the other night and had 4 sacks, how do you guys as a group try to help him out? I mean, I know you can't go over there and pull every time and have double team a guy like Will Anderson, but how do you try to help him when situations like that go down?
Try to keep him calm, tell him to trust his technique, do what he got to do.
What do you guys need to do this weekend to get a win?
Focus on the little things. Do all the little things right.
We've talked about the pass blocking, but how do you feel like you guys have done run blocking so far?
Oh, we still adjusting. We're doing pretty good at it.
Is it a different dynamic when you're on a team that doesn't really run all that much?
Say it again.
Is it a different dynamic when you're not on a team that doesn't run that much, as far as how much you have to do of each pass blocking and run blocking?
I mean, it's a little different, but we just try to take play after play. Take it how it comes.
Collin, when you have a game where you have guys get loose in the secondary, when you go back and watch that film, what are you looking at and how do you kind of improve upon that?
Honestly, just as a secondary, we're just kind of trying to look at, what happened and what can we improve it, of course. But honestly, we're just kind of looking in the mirror, just making sure that we got a clear understanding on our jobs and certain calls, and making sure that, everybody's on one string out there. Because, as we saw on Saturday, if one person's out of place or as multiple people are out of place, then stuff like that can happen. So we're just trying to make sure that we're all on one string out there, and that we all know our assignment when we get out there.
Was there anything consistent in that, or was it just kind of a different issue, pretty much every time?
Different calls and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it's the same exact issue, but just not being focused on a certain play, and against a good team like Bama who has explosive weapons like that, you make a mistake, it's pretty much a touchdown. So, and I think that's what we saw on Saturday. Just small, little mistakes. Nothing major, just little mistakes that they took advantage of, and as we see what happened, they scored on them. So
Vanderbilt almost got an SEC win on Saturday in South Carolina. How do you guys have to avoid something like that, like an upset?
I honestly don't even look at it as an upset. I think I've been watching film on Vanderbilt, and they're a team that's growing. they're a team that, shouldn't be taken lightly. I mean, those guys, they play hard every snap. They got some guys that can make some plays, and, they're going to fight for 60 minutes. So we got to go out there like it's our last. You know what I'm saying? Play every play like it's your last, and make sure that we come out on top.
A team that hasn't won a conference game since 2019, do you think they're extra motivated to change that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all remember last year where they almost beat us here in Starkville. So, I mean, if I was on Vanderbilt's team, I would be telling my team, we can beat these guys. I mean, we showed we went to their house and put up a big fight against them. So, I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't do the same exact thing or do better and win the ball game this Saturday. So we got to show up and play our game.
What's this weekend like for your family? I mean, your brother played at Vanderbilt. What's that mood been like? Have you got any messages from him?
Nah, I mean, me and my brother, we do our usual talking about what am I seeing on film, little mistakes I've been making, kind of coaching me up and stuff like that, making sure I'm on my P's and Q's. But no family rivalry type stuff, and no jawing back and forth on who's better, and none of that type of stuff.
You guys always, and coaches talk about the 24-hour rule. You flush it, win or lose. Is that easier to do when getting beat like you did Saturday? Is that easier to flush and try to focus on what's left on the table?
When we know we're better than what we put out on the table on Saturday, especially 49 points, especially for me speaking on behalf of the defense. I mean, Bama's a great offense. I mean, they got explosive weapons, but I think every single one in this program and everybody on this defense knows that we're better than what we put on the table. And for somebody to come up to our house and put up 49 points, that's a big shot in the gut. So, it's kind of hard to swallow it, but I mean, we're playing the SEC. I mean, if you're dwelling on the next game going into the next week, you're going to get beat again. And with this league and with how college football is today, I mean, there's one-loss teams that aren't in the top 5. So I mean, it's one of those. We're in a time where you can't really focus on the past. You kind of have to move on, or you're gonna get beat again.
Vanderbilt has announced that Mike Wright will be the starter at quarterback. He's more of an athletic guy that can tuck it and run. They have some design runs. How does that maybe change things a little bit defensively? You guys seen a lot of pocket passers the last few weeks.
Yeah.
When you've got a dual threat guy, how does that change things on defense?
I mean, I think it just makes the secondary key in on little things more. I mean, with a guy that can roll out of the pocket, at that point he's a runner, but also he can still throw the ball. So when he rolls out of the pocket, we got to work on, latching on the receivers, making sure that we're locked in on our assignment, locked in on our guy, making sure we're not just roaming around. Once the guy leaves the pocket, we got to latch on the receivers, make sure there's no open body that he can throw to, and, just trust the D-line and the linebackers and our Sam and make sure that we get them on the ground.
A game like Alabama, does it motivate you guys more in practice in the following game to kind of make a statement, a rebound?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think the emphasis today was just get to the ball. I mean, we looked on film a few times, and the past years of Mississippi State football, getting to the football, running to the ball with bad intentions has been our motto, and it's been what we've been known for a very long time. And I feel like, and the coaches feel like, and all the players on defense feel like that. We kind of ventured away from that last Saturday, and it showed on tape, and it showed in our game. So, this week I think that everybody recognizes that we can have another outing like that. I mean, that's not our identity, and that's not who we are. So we got to bounce back and make sure everybody's on their P's and Q's coming on Saturday.
Cropped up on Saturday. I mean, what kind of factored into maybe not being in sync as you have been for the previous 5 or so weeks? Yeah, I mean, just little things. Not being locked in here and there. And I mean, like I said, with Bama, that's a good offense, and some teams might give you a touchdown, some teams might just give you 10 yards. You know what I'm saying? If you mess up, and Bama has weapons that come from everywhere. So I mean, against them, unfortunately, if you mess up by just a small margin, that can turn a 5-yard pass into a 75-yard touchdown. So we ran into that a few times, and then just some busted coverages and not being in the right place at the right time, and we see what happens when that happens. So.
Obviously can't throw the Alabama game out. You got to look at that just like all those. But do you feel like y'all had been progressing up to that point because Texas A&M played well a couple of games before that? So do you feel like y'all will get better?
Yeah, no, I feel like just how hard we work in practice and the attention to detail that we have in practice, I feel like it's hard not to get better, especially when you have somebody like Coach Arnett and the staff that he has on defense. And I feel like the same thing for the offense. I mean, we got a great leader in Will Rogers, and then Coach Leach is on him a lot, and on all the receivers and all the O-linemen. I mean, with how hard we work in practice and how hard we push each other, I mean, most of the time you don't even need the coaches out there because we're chewing out each other to make sure that we're all getting better, because we want to make sure that something like what happened on Saturday doesn't happen again. I mean, we still got some big-time ball to play. I mean, our schedule is not easy at all. So, you know, that game that happened on Saturday, the numbers that they put up can easily happen again if we don't come back and get back in our P's and Q's.
At the midway point of the season, maybe about 6 games in, I mean, what have you liked about the defense so far? Where do you guys maybe still need to grow in your eyes?
I feel like one thing I do like about this defense is that, I mean, I feel like we're relentless defense. I feel like we get to the ball well. You know, other than some plays, we, you know, tired here and there, not being focused here and there. But other than that, I mean, I feel like this defense is tough. We're gritty. I feel like we don't back down from a challenge. I mean, in this league, you really can't. I mean, it's a challenge every weekend, different type of schemes, different type of running backs, different type of receivers, different quarterback. So, I mean, you just got to step up to the challenge, step up to the plate, and put your best foot forward. And I feel like we do that as much as we can, and I think we do that pretty well.
Coach Lee said your own receivers were having some miscommunication with Will. When you face that on an opposing offense, and if you have before, how much can that help a defense when the opposing offense is struggling to communicate?
I mean, as you know, if you flip it the other way around, I mean, it's the same thing that we had in the secondary against Bama. I mean, we had miscommunications, and we see what happens. So, I mean, you know, from our standpoint, if I'm playing defense and our offense is having some miscues and stuff like that, I mean, of course, it makes your job easier because they're not all flowing as one. But I know that those guys are going to get right. They work super hard. Will's in the meeting room watching film constantly. The receivers are too. Coach Leach is watching film like crazy. So those guys are going to get right. I believe in them. We all believe in them. And, you know, I feel like they're going to have a good bounce back game.
You said after the game that some of the receivers kind of invented routes, I think is the term he used. Did you guys kind of address that, and how do you fix that maybe going forward?
Who said that?
Leach, the coach.
Yeah, I mean, we had a big theme was just communication, and honestly, just kind of get on different pages with the quarterback. And sometimes we miss signal, and I myself messed up one, and that's just something we got to be. You know, it's a small thing. It's just that we inflicted on ourselves. You know, that just kind of sucks looking back at it. But 24-hour old, look at it, move on, and obviously make those changes for this week.
Is that something you can pretty easily fix in the film room?
That's a really easy fix. I mean, that's not just getting locked up and a bad route. It's just it's communication.
What do you think made that crop up in this game when it hadn't really been an issue for a few weeks?
I don't know. Honestly, just kind of a couple things just compounded on himself. That's just sometimes how it goes. Sometimes how the ball bounces, and just kind of happen.
Jed Johnson said the team kind of let the Alabama logo, get to you guys a little bit. Did you feel that way at all?
I mean, obviously how we played and the results kind of show that, but I honestly didn't feel like that. I thought we had a really good week preparing. I thought our mindset was right. When we came out, we didn't execute. We didn't play at our level. I'm sure that probably had a little bit of effect on it, but I'm not sure about it.
As one of the veterans, what's kind of been your message to the guys to get them locked in this week for a road game?
Honestly, the big thing is 24-hour rule. After A&M, enjoy the win, great win on the what, but 24 hours is over with. On to Bama. Now Bama, had a bad loss. 24 hours, move on. This is a new week. Go to Vandy, chance to redeem ourselves, handle our business. Kind of get back on track. That's all it is. You come out like today's is a super important day. Everybody's gonna come out, good juice, good energy at practice, and kind of start the week right.
What have you seen from the Vanderbilt offense, and what do you think the biggest challenge they present is?
Vanderbilt offense?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, the Vanderbilt defense.
Okay. They play well. I mean, what I've seen so far, they've been growing throughout the season, which is it's a good sign, good team. They played really well against South Carolina last week, to nail it at the end. They play sound, they play physical, they play their roles pretty well. They definitely give us a challenge, and we're at the execute on our part for sure.
Leach talked about sometimes this team can have a tendency to try to do too much and try to press. Do you see that, and how tough is that to walk that line? Because you want to make a play, but you got to realize you can't score 21 points on one play and just try to play within yourself.
Like I said, I think it's a fine line you got to walk because, like a quote is, you want to be playing one step from out of control. But you say obviously you got to be like right there in that step in control, and I mean you just got to push yourself to your maximum limit. But you got to know that like you said, you can't score 21 points on one play. Try to do somebody else's job, and then somebody's in the next gap, or now somebody's running a different route for the next guy, or just kind of free balling. And like you said, you just got to kind of be trust what we do out here every day at practice, and just kind of implement that.
Can you talk about how this season developed with the chemistry between not just yourself, but all the receivers and Will, and for that matter, the offensive line and everything, how this offense is just getting so comfortable with each other?
Definitely. I think we've had a lot of reps together, a lot more games and time together. And I can see, obviously a lot of progress going from last year. Watching our tape against some of these teams from last year, this year, it was a huge difference. It's exponential. And I think it's just, being around each other, more reps and all that, and just kind of a closer bond and just all that's adding up.
Speaking of a huge difference, I mean, when you came in here, you had one receiver group, and now as a veteran, it's just a totally different receiver group, all sorts of abilities. Do you ever look around and think, where did all these guys come from? We got somebody who can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think coaches, everybody's done a great job getting guys here with all types of different skills and different traits, and really complement each other well.
Was very close to Will Rogers. He didn't have his best game last week. As his friend, receiver, and roommate, how do you kind of maybe pick him up a little bit?
Shake back. I mean, the whole team's got your back. We're all believing in you, riding with you. We're gonna be with you this week. We're gonna go to Vandy. Try to do our best, obviously, handle business, and you just gotta be with them. You gotta support them. I mean, there's already enough noise on Twitter and everything else. You gotta try to block it out. Just be guys support them.
From Scooby Ford, I mean, he's kind of been described as like a really hard worker. I mean, do you notice that about him?
Definitely, yeah. Off season, we're always catching balls, running routes together. He's a great player, great guy in the locker room, on and off the field. And I'm really happy for him, honestly, that this season he had a chance to improve it and get some plays and make some big time plays for us.
Last year, Vanderbilt almost came in and beat you guys. I mean, was that a wake up call at all, and is it going to be one when you go to their place this week?
I wouldn't call it a wake up call. In the day, we won the game. We're happy with that. Honestly, our goal is to go 1-0 every week. So honestly, pretty happy with that. But at the same time, obviously we want to try to go handle business at their place, away game, tough environment. That's obviously a little different, but like I said, just go 1-0 this week and try to handle our business.
How much does it help to lock in, knowing that was such a close game last year?
I mean, obviously every game's important. You can't value one over the other. That's how you start tripping over yourself. So you just got to handle this week like it's our only game, which it is obviously, and kind of go from there.
Also, want to get your thoughts on Collin Duncan when you go against him in practice. What impresses you about his game?
Oh, he's great. He's a smart player. He's physical. He makes me work every single day. I can't do the same thing twice against someone else who's going to cover it. So it kind of makes me grow, makes me work. It's been a good competition for the last couple of years.
With Vanderbilt having, I think, 16 straight SEC losses, then playing at home, it being their homecoming, do you think that makes them extra motivated to have a win this week?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure everybody on their team is trying to do everything they can to win the game. And, I obviously respect them as a great opponent, so looking forward to the game.